Hari Om Satyaji. So let us continue our presentation on the Tattvabodha. In the last session, you had taken us through the Adhikari chapter, and in the Atma Tattva Viveka, you had completed till the Avasthatraya Prakriya, including the Dehatraya Prakriya. So you also gave us a wonderful insight into how karma happens and what should our focus be when performing karma. Till there we had completed in our last session. So I now invite you to continue the presentation from here.
Yes, Vijay.
So where do you want me to go to?
Yeah, we can go to the next slide after where we stopped.
Yeah, so you had taken us till the karma and then the Avasthatraya Prakriya. Do you want to elaborate on the Avasthatraya Prakriya, or do you want to go to the
next one, Prabhu.
Panchakosha?
Next one, Vijay. Yeah. Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible, Satyaji.
Okay. Yeah. So the Panchakosha Prakriya, that is the 5 bodies. In fact, it is not the 5 bodies, but there is this depiction of what we actually see. Like we have the Annamaya Kosha, that is the physical body that we are seeing, and there is a lot of conditioning of the Annamaya Kosha that how the body is fair, dark, or young, old, and all that. So Annamaya Kosha is basically the physical form, and Pranamaya Kosha is the organs that we have. I mean, it is like the Shakti part of what we have, all the organs. And Manomaya Kosha is the thoughts. It is the mind. That is actually the mind anyway has these 4 parts of ego and intellect that is acting through the mind, the functions of the mind. So that is depicted as Manomaya Kosha, and Vijnanamaya Kosha is our intellect, and Anandamaya Kosha is it is like the causal body. That is, and it is so Anandamaya Kosha is it is like the causal body where there is still the ignorance. So I think in a very recent talk, Prabhuji also has depicted the next. It has 7 bodies, like the cosmic body also, and I think what I understand from Panchakosha Prakriya is we are neither of this. Though this is a depiction, these are the sheets, like the layers of an onion. What is beyond all this is the real self. So self is neither the Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, because we are neither the body, not the mind or the intellect. We are neither the Karana Sharira or Sthula Sharira or Sukshma Sharira. So, and we are neither the Avasthatraya Prakriya. So all this is only to understand that we are neither of what we are actually seeing or feeling, but the one knowing which is beyond all this. So only through jnana, that is only through knowledge of who we are, anyone can pass beyond all this, and without getting entangled into the theory of what we are not. Next slide, Vijay.
So one question here.
Yeah.
When someone is referred as Jivatma, that is a Jiva. So how do you understand the word Jivatma? Is there a connection between that and Panchakosha Prakriya?
Jiva is the physical body with all the mind, the body, mind, intellect is the Jiva with the Pranamaya Kosha, Manomaya Kosha, everything. So going beyond the Jiva, what we are, that is the real self. So Jiva is what we see. It is the human body with all the Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, and Anandamaya koshas, which we think we are. Going beyond the Panchakosha is trying to understand, the Prakriya is trying to understand that we are neither of this. If you are able to see something so clearly, the one who is seeing or knowing is the self. It is neither of what you see.
So then why is there a word Atma in that? Why is it called Jivatma?
It is a combination of Jiva and Atma. Atma is the self. The self is there in you, me, and everything around. So Atma is the consciousness that we have to realize. So we are not the physical form or the mind form or the intellectual form that we feel we are. Normally, there is a conditioning of I like this, I don't like this. That is raga, dvesha, kama, krodha, mada, moha, matcharya, lobha. So we start getting into the conditioning that I like this, I don't like this. In fact, the mind likes it, mind does not like it. It is again a thought, a conditioning which actually happens. But we are so much entangled in the all this that this is my body or my mind, my thoughts. So the question of this ahankara and mamakara also arise from the mind, where we start identifying with whatever we have or whatever we see. In fact, the one who knows all this is what I am. It is neither of what you see or feel or think.
So then Jivatma is what then? One who thinks that is a Jiva.
Yes.
Okay.
Is the concept of the Chidabhasha comes here, like where it says the reflection of the Atman on the mind.
Yeah, everything here is Chidabhasa. I mean, whatever we are actually seeing. Suppose we are looking into a mirror, or you are looking into a pond without ripples. You are seeing a reflection, but you are thinking that reflection is you. So whatever you, and when you look at the reflection, come back to the source. So whatever we are seeing as the world, as the body, as the mind is a reflection of the self. So when you are seeing the reflection, look into the mirror and come back to what is the source of this reflection. So that source is the self. So coming back to the source is what we are doing in the form of prakriyas of this Panchakosha Prakriya, or the 3 states of deep sleep or waking or dream state. So all these prakriyas are only to identify and realize the self.
So the only difference between one who thinks he or she is a person to a realized oneness, in the word Jivatma, so the realization is that it is pure Atma.
Yes.
Would that be a right statement?
Yes, Vijay.
Then the other question that also usually comes is about the Anandamaya Kosha. So when it comes to Anandamaya Kosha, it is referred as the bliss body. If it is a bliss body, what is that? How is it not me? Because my nature is said to be Satchit Ananda.
Ananda is not by itself bliss. It is unlimitedness, so limitlessness. So bliss is, in fact, normally during ignorance too, we find ourselves in a state of bliss sometimes. More excess of joy, happiness. All this is caused by, again, the mind or the false self. The false self identifies with so many things. On happening of something, there is a happiness, and on regular happening of things the way you want, there is something we feel as bliss. So even this bliss or ananda is a glimpse of what we really are. So there are factors which are coming in between. The moment they the cloud is removed, we always have that bliss, feeling of bliss, or understanding bliss, or I'm very happy, or I'm liking what is happening. So I have this. So this sense of achievement, happiness also gives a glimpse of bliss, but that is not the real bliss. It is unlimited. But are you really able to hold on to that Anandamaya all the time? Can you identify that you are always blissful all the time, come what may? It doesn't happen that way. It is a glimpse of what you actually are.
As long as the ignorance of the Jivatma is there,
Yes.
This is another experience.
Yes. All these are experiences of what you see, feel, and think.
Wonderful. Are there questions from Prakash ji or Saravan ji for Satya ji? All right. So essentially, this is what you already covered.
Yeah. So what all we see, think, or feel, we get identified to it because of ignorance. We are identified to my body, my thought, my like, my dislike, and my life, and the whole world that I have created around me. So all this is again a projection of the mind. So the mind itself is a false self. It is a pseudo self, a pseudo identity, because of which there is a constant disconnection, or the duality is there because of the mind, because we project ourselves to be separate or different or unique from the rest of the world. So when the mind is dissolved, and that happens only through jnana, through knowledge, when the mind is dissolved, this duality disappears, and everything is seen as one. Because I am not this body. Yes, the body is limited, but everyone has a body. And when you look at you as a body and someone else as a body, there is always a sense of threat, a fear, and a worry, a confusion that always comes into the mind. So the mind itself projects the duality, the mind itself gets confused and shows the whole world as a samsara, dukkha sagara, and all that. So it is again a projection of what the mind is. So are we driving the mind, or is the mind driving us? So that is the question. The difference between a jnana and jnani and an ajnani lies in the fact that the jnani has a mind, but for us, the mind has us. It is like for an ajnani, it is the mind possesses the body, and the mind is acting. For a jnani, it is the consciousness acting through the mind, through the power of the mind. The power of the mind again is given by the consciousness itself.
Very nice. So if you have to summarize in one or two sentences our learning of the Tattva Bodha so far, as your deeper realizations, what would they be?
So my learning of Tattva Bodha, the word itself says that we are trying to understand the nature of the self, the nature. Tattva is the essential nature. So for everything, there is an essential nature. Like fire has an essential nature, water has an essential nature. Even we have an essential nature. Are we able to look at that? We are thinking, this is a computer that we are watching, this is mine, or this is my like, dislike, or this is my duty, my responsibility, my child. The sense of I, me, mine has creeped into everything that we are doing. In fact, I really feel even a 1-year-old, a baby which is born, it does not have a human mind. It is not a human child. It is a divine child that is born. But the parent teaches the baby as they try to take away a toy and say, this is mine, this is nadi. So I mean, that way there is this conditioning. The society conditioning starts at home, where the child is taught that this is mine. He has to snatch it from the other person who is taking, and he has to cry that someone is taking away his toy, and he is happy that someone has given away his toy to him back. So this sense of this conditioning happens right from the childhood, because there is this whole society conditioning which comes up. So so the basic, Tattvabodha is holding on to the essential nature, that is the self. So holding on to it, we all realize that we are the self because of so many classes or understanding or the videos or texts that we are reading. But are we holding on to the self all the time? So I feel consciousness is the seat of the self, where you just have to, just like, you go to the office, and you, as soon as you sit in your chair, you are a different person. So till there, you are a driver driving your car, you are the cook who is cooking, or who you are the mother, the father, or so many other roles that you play. But as soon as you hit your chair or your position in the office, it is like, you keep everything aside and you play your role perfectly. I think that is the one role we play very perfectly, knowing fully well that this is my office, and from this time to this time, this is what I have to play. So though this is a conditioning, I feel consciousness is that seat, that seat. I don't say it is a hot seat, that seat where whatever you do, come back to the seat of consciousness as soon as possible, or do every action from that seat of consciousness. It need not be through anything, through any other conditioning. So if you are acting through your conditioning, it is the pseudo self that is acting. So act through your consciousness. Do not leave your seat of consciousness, come what may.
Very nice. Wonderfully put. So Tattvabodha is essentially unconditioning.
Yes. We are neither of whatever we have studied till now.
Wonderful. So would that negate Tattvabodha itself?
As I told you, this is like a boat that you have to sit in it, you have to row it through the river until you understand. After you understand, the tools are not necessary. Nothing is necessary.
Excellent. Are there questions from Saravananji, Prakashji to Satyaji before we conclude her presentation? So the intention of these presentations is, one is by each one to share, and for the others to put questions, so that through this dialogue, the inner conviction and the clarity emerges.
Yeah.
If there are no questions, once again want to thank Satyaji. Last week and this week, you have presented, and you have so eloquently and so clearly shared your understanding, Satyaji. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vijay.
Thank you. So we'll stop this presentation now.